Because of their shape and the inherent strength of the materials that they're built with, Earthships can be made to form the perfect survival shelter. Today I'm in Te Puke, where I'm visiting a really cool community initiative aimed at teaching those who were affected by Cyclone Pam in Vanuatu how to construct these incredibly robust survival shelters.
So I was up in Port Vila when Cyclone Pam passed over Vanuatu. I've worked with guys from Vanuatu since 2007, and so it was a really scary night for me, wondering how they were surviving it, because a lot of their homes are either made out of corrugated iron or just local material. So an anxious morning trying to track everyone down the next day to find out whether they'd actually survived the cyclone. And when we came back to New Zealand with them, they work in the kiwi fruit industry here. I looked at ways that we could help with the rebuild and the resilience training based on projects we could do in New Zealand, and building an Earthship, a wind-resistant, low-cost building, was high on the priority. So when I came back, I got back involved, in touch with Earthship Biotexture, and they sent me a link for one that they've just built in the Philippines after Typhoon Haiyan. And this was a wind-resistant one. It's circular structure, but it's got the earth piled up on the outside too, so it ends up looking like a little mound, really, like a hobbit hill, and there's just nothing for a cyclone to pull off or destroy, because it's just like going over a little hillock. So I guess Earthship's made for Western societies. They still use the tyres, but there's a lot more timber used, 4x2 and that kind of stuff. Concrete would be found a lot more in the in the Western models. This one doesn't use any of that kind of material. It's got tyres, we've got some rebar for structural use, which is probably where the greatest cost would be. The roofing is bamboo, which they can access really readily available in Vanuatu, which is then covered in tarpaulins, and every household has been given a tarpaulin since the cyclone by aid agencies, so that'll be free. And then insulation, which is coconut husk, so again something that they can just pull from their own environment. So yeah, it's quite different, I guess, from the traditional Earthship Western models, but the finishing, I guess, looks kind of similar. It started with an intrigue, we showed some videos and they kind of went, yeah, that seems interesting. There was probably a little bit of unknown, well, a huge amount of unknown, because building something out of tyres, and we've got a bag of aluminium cannons behind there which we're shoving into cavities, and they're kind of going, this is rubbish, how are you planning on making a house out of it? So there's been a lot of unknowns for them. So I guess it was curiosity to begin with, and then there was a real shift to a sizable amount of interest. I think once the tyres went up and they could just see how strong it was compared to the local houses that they would build, it was like, actually, we're really interested. And then as the roof's gone up and we're starting to see the shape of it, we put some people in there the other day to do a demonstration, and there was over 20 people inside. And so it's gone to a real commitment that this could really work in their communities, particularly as a community survival shelter.
I was in Port Vila, not on my island, Tana, but I was in Port Vila trying to catch a plane to here when the cyclone struck our country. It was very terrible, and the people catching around to have the safety place to save the children, and only few houses were been still standing during the cyclone, and that's where the people saved. I think this would be help very much in my community. During the cyclone, this will be staying. It's not like my local house, the house that I was in, because when the cyclone came, it's blow away. So this will be more stronger.
This is where you can see, I think we calculated we've used about 250 tyres for the 8 courses of tyres making the wall. It's a circular structure, which essentially, a circle is one of the strongest structures known in geometry. And I think the idea with this is that, if there's pressure coming from outside by way of a cyclone, it's not going to cave in because there's not a straight wall to hit. It's, it's always going to push in on itself. So we've started cobbing in here. There's basically big cavities between each tyre, and to get the finished wall, the finished cobbed wall on the outside, we have to fill these cavities. So in behind, you can kind of see one sneaking in here, there's a can. So in each one we've got 2 cans so far. the idea over the next few days is to get this flush, and then we'll do the finishing, which will hide all the tyres completely. So we've got the top of the start of the roof structure, or the foundation of the roofing, is some quite solid timber posts. We've used treated timber here that we got off a kiwi fruit orchard. The idea in Vanuatu would be that they would use coconut palms, which are about the same size and weight. We've painted them because although the ones that we've got here were treated, over there they don't have any ability to treat wood, so paint is quite an essential part of the preservation process. To attach these logs to the tyre wall, basically they're sitting on top of some plastic bags, and then they're sitting on top, and then we've drilled a rebar, which is for the structure, right through, and it goes down to about 3 courses of tyres through, so there's not much chance of it ever being lifted off. And then we've also used some reinforcing strapping here as well. So up on top, if we come around and over, the guys are doing some structural support for our skylight, which is about to go on. So as you can see, there's a lot of dirt here, which has all been brought in by wheelbarrow as well, and that gets built right up and over the whole thing by the end of it. So you've got a good 2 or 3 feet of extra support that prevents, I guess, a cyclone or anything coming in and damaging the actual structure of the building. So this is our hexagon structure made out of bamboo up the top here, and basically there's, I think I just counted them, 13 or 14 layers of bamboo all in a hexagon strapped to each other. And the cool thing of that is there's 16 points of contact on every layer, which makes it a very strong structure. I think you could fit 30 people standing on this and it wouldn't fall over. And then what we've done is with each contact point, a pin's gone through both and then been pulled tight by some rubber. And the rubber was actually an idea presented to us by some guys from PNG that were helping with the build. We were just demonstrating. We'd been taught to use string, but they said over in the islands, if they're working with bamboo, they will use rubber. And you can just see, I mean, this is quite loose, but you can just see how tight it is with the rubber holding those posts together, or that bamboo together. So it's a very solid structure. So eventually from the outside you won't see the bamboo, inside you still will. But what the next step of this is we're going to place some traditional matting on top. So from the inside you'll get to see a lovely bamboo structure with some beautiful matting. That then gets wrapped in tarpaulin. On top of that go bags of insulation, which in our case we've used leaves. They would probably use coconut husk. Another tarpaulin for waterproofing, and then the whole thing gets covered in sod, so eventually it becomes a growing organism that knits together. I guess what I love about it is wind resistant. It's also really low cost. I think materials all up, including tools, would probably be about $300. So for them, where they don't have a lot of money, this is a really, resourceful way of making a building that's going to keep them safe.
I think community projects like this are so uplifting and inspiring. It's incredible to watch so many wonderful people come together to realise a common goal. In this case though, building a structure like this Earthship, it's not just about having a nice place to meet as a community. In the event of a natural disaster like Cyclone Pam, having one of these Earthships in the community could literally be the difference between life and death. I think what they're building here is very special, and I can't wait to come back and see what this place looks like in a couple of months' time.